Welcome to the Disability Benefits Channel, folks. I'm your host, Emmett Irwin, and today we're here to talk about special needs trusts. Special needs trusts are a terrific vehicle for protecting government benefits and getting money into a vehicle, a trust, for the benefit of a disabled person. And here to speak with us is Ricky Adams. Hi, Ricky. How are you?
I'm doing well, Emmett. How are you? Thank you for having me.
No problem. And Ricky is a special needs planning and trust expert with O'Byrne Law, who is the preeminent special needs planning firm in Maryland. Okay. And so my first question, Ricky, is what is the purpose of a special needs trust?
Absolutely. So a special needs trust is a vehicle that can hold funds for a disabled individual so that they can continue to receive benefits from the public, SSI, SSDI, Medicaid. It kind of like shelters that money for their use to supplement their needs while they're on those benefit programs.
Okay. And so we hear a lot about developmentally disabled people, that is, people who are disabled prior to age 22.
Mhm.
Are these special needs trusts good for those, that category of people?
Absolutely. So in that category, I find that they're especially useful. Often those individuals are, within the community, receiving benefits from a diverse group of providers, and the trust can kind of provide, extra things to make their lives more fulfilling. If they want to, get a job or hobby or find something to better themselves, the trust is a vehicle that can provide those resources, along with an advocate to kind of make sure everyone's doing what they're supposed to do for that individual.
Yes, and that brings to mind the Developmental Disabilities Administration,
Hmm.
which provides Medicaid benefits for people who are disabled prior to age 22.
Hmm.
And that can be millions of dollars of benefits over a person's lifetime. So a special needs trust is a really indispensable
Hmm.
in that person's life. Now, moving on, what about people who are disabled after age 22? Say they were in a very bad car accident in their 30s or something like that. Can these kind of trusts work for that kind of person?
Absolutely. So these types of trusts are perfect for that, to shelter funds from, a personal injury settlement. That way they can still get the help they need, get the care they need, but the money is kind of sheltered for them to provide for their needs for their lifetime. Because often, they may need more money than you anticipate often. They need physical therapy and they need caregiving and special housing, and all that's very expensive. And the settlement may not be able to provide enough coverage for all that, right? Even if they're on benefits. So the trust can help shelter those funds for that use.
Great. Now, I get those calls, of course, and then I tell them to call Ricky Adams. But I also get calls from parents who are just tearing their hair out over their child their child who say is addicted to drugs,
Mhm.
unfortunately, or alcohol, or they just waste money. Are special needs trusts good for those kind of people?
Probably not, right? So instead, I would think a discretionary trust would be appropriate for that individual. And often you can build in similar clauses within the trust to help restrict the money. Instead of giving a distribution outright to the beneficiary, you can pay the vendor, you pay their rent, and make sure that their needs are met, but that they can't access the money to then spend it on something they're not supposed to be spending it on. And also the trustee can be as an advocate to help, better themselves, maybe help them overcome the addiction problems, have that touch in the document.
Right. Now, okay, so what kinds of different special needs trusts? Back to special needs trusts.
Mhm.
what kind of different special needs trusts are there? Can you explain that to us?
Sure, be happy to, Emmett. So there are about three different flavors. The first one is the traditional third-party special needs trust. So often it's created by like a parent, a loved one of the disabled individual, who's basically going to give them money to put into this sheltered trust for their benefit. Now, this type of trust doesn't have a lot of restrictions on it, right? So you're able to, have broad discretion. You can decide who gets the money when the disabled person dies, such as their sibling or someone else in the family. And it allows for a lot more use of the funds, but often that requires planning, right? Usually the person has to plan to do this. So it's usually like the first step if you can, right? I would say the second flavor is the first party trust or the D4A trust, which is using the funds of the disabled individual themselves. And so they have to be under the age of 65 for this to be an option. So sometimes that's not an option. It's a little more restrictive because you're tied it more into what the government is reviewing and requires, using a form that is approved in Maryland by the Attorney General's office. So it's often kind of boilerplate in that sense. We have to put certain things in there because that's what the law requires. Um, and then the third choice would be the D4C trust, which is the pooled special needs trust, which does not have that age requirement. And so often people who are looking to get long-term care Medicaid, this would be an option for them. The idea is the trust is already created and it's kind of governed by a nonprofit trusting, documents that have already been approved by the state, and they kind of pool their resources to pay the overhead of the trust. And so often it's helpful for like small, settlements or inheritances from other people. It could be a great, option for that purpose.
Mhm. Ah, I see. So let me get this straight. So the first kind of trust you talked about,
Mhm.
a third party trust, there's no payback provision to the state.
Right.
It can be, the money can be left to a beneficiary,
Hmm.
but the other kinds of trusts are different.
Correct. Right. So the D4A, there is a payback provision, and even the D4C, unless you allocate for the nonprofit to receive the money, it will pay back to Medicaid before it would
Right.
then go to anybody else.
Right. So assuming that Medicaid pays out
Hmm.
hundreds of thousands of dollars in someone's lifetime, which is often the case,
Right.
then any remaining funds in the special needs trust would be paid back to the state upon death.
Correct.
Okay, got it. All right, so let's talk money.
Hmm.
All right, what can the money in the special needs trust pay for during the life of the, um, what do you call the person who's the intended beneficiary of the special needs trust?
The disabled beneficiary.
The disabled
Hmm.
beneficiary. Okay.
Sure. So usually, it does not pay for what your public benefits pays for, right? So not room and
Okay.
board, not your rent, the things that income is for. Instead, it pays for everything else, right? So it can pay for electronics, it can pay for haircuts, it can pay for vacations, anything that kind of supplement and to enhance your life, the trust can pay for. Legal fees, accountant fees, advisor fees, things like that. It's kind of used there to make your life more enjoyable. Is kind of the idea. And so typically, when we help a client create this, we give them a list of what's allowed, what's not allowed, and then we always say, if you have a question, because sometimes it's hard to define something, right? Or it might be something new that's not on this list. We suggest that they call us or call their CPA or an advisor to make sure before they distribute the money to pay it, because we don't want to mess up those public benefits by doing something wrong.
Right. So like a hot tub.
Sure, right? I mean, it could be it's entertainment, right?
All
I don't
right.
think
I'm
that's
gonna
on our
try to get a
list,
no
but
out of you.
why not?
Let's see. A private jet.
Private chat. Wow, like I don't know if I want
That's
to be the
pushing
test
it.
case for that. Is the hot tub in the private jet?
Okay, how about a Floyd Mayweather type party at the most expensive club in Las Vegas?
I mean, it's entertainment.
That is entertainment, man.
I mean,
Okay,
you could
well,
always, as
I
long as
think
you have a good attorney like you, Emma, you could argue him as anything, right? Come on.
No, I don't want any parts of that. I think that's probably pushing the limit. But
Probably.
it sounds like there's some really excellent ways to enhance a disabled person's life
Hmm.
through these benefits and the money in the special needs trust. Is there any other ways that these trusts enhance a disabled person's life?
Yes. So the trustee also serves as an advocate on behalf of the beneficiary and
Right.
can make sure that all the providers and these public benefits are doing what they're supposed to be doing. Can make sure that what the person needs and would like to do is being done. Because often, especially as these beneficiaries age, they kind of lose their voice, right? And so the trustee can
Right.
kind of make sure their voice is heard and that they're not lost in the system.
And does your firm ever serve as a trustee in these kind of situations?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think a lot of firms in the area will do that. A lot of financial institutions will do that. Often as people look to their family members, siblings and whatnot, to serve in this role, but that can be hard because it could define their role and their
Yes.
relationship. And so perhaps instead they could serve as like a trust protector, right? Instead of someone who could still be a voice for the beneficiary, but maybe not be the one who controls the coin purse. But it depends on the family and it depends on the dynamics. But we're always happy to help figure that out with the clients.
And I've heard it can be a very thankless job for a layperson
Hmm.
to deal with all these legalities and paperwork and accountings and that kind of
Absolutely.
right. It may be best to have a professional handle this kind of thing,
Hmm.
such as a pooled special needs trust,
Hmm.
or of course your firm. Is there any pooled special needs trust that you call most often?
Absolutely. We actually use First Maryland Disability Trust probably the most often. I
Okay,
believe you probably heard of them.
I have. That was a softball. Yep.
Thank you.
Just for you viewers out there, I do a limited number of special needs trusts. I'm far from an expert, but when I do have this kind of situation, I call First Maryland Disability Trust. No, they aren't paying me to say that.
Hmm.
No, they're not paying Ricky to say that. They're
That's
a
right.
nonprofit, but they're the best in Maryland as far as I'm concerned.
Hmm.
And they're very nice. Go to their website if you'd like to learn more. First Maryland Disability Trust, 4 words, Google it, and call them. They'd be happy to answer your
Hmm.
questions. And like you said, Ricky, that's usually for a smaller amount of money to be managed, and First Maryland Disability Trust can do that because they pool all the funds of all their beneficiaries.
Right, and that's also one of the few trusts that doesn't have that age requirement, right? So if
Ah,
it's
right,
someone who's older
of
and they're in a
course.
nursing home and you're helping, them apply for Medicaid, it could be the perfect vehicle instead of doing the complicated gift and return strategy.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Mhm.
Okay, well, thank you, Ricky, for coming on and talking to us.
My pleasure, Emma. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. And to you viewers out there, if you like this video, please subscribe, like, comment. You can subscribe. It's the red button somewhere on your screen. And Ricky, if they want to reach you, how can they do so?
Oh, that'd be great. I'd be happy to hear from them. So my phone number in the office is 410-667-0020. My email address is richard@oburnlawoffice.com.
Okay, and I'm going to put that information in the discussion box below. So if you want Ricky's number or if you want my number, go down, click on more information, and you'll see those numbers. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you again.